Welcome to Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett, a show that brings a sassy mix of transformative advice on health, relationships, love, career, and mindset shifting, together with some fun and laughter. Powerless to Powerful with Angela Bennett begins now. Welcome to Powerless to Powerful, here with Dr. Angie Bennett from Sydney, Australia. Today I have an incredible guest. She is coming to me from the United States, and I will introduce you now, reading her bio. We tried to narrow this down a little bit more, but we couldn't even do that because she is just an incredible woman, such a mighty woman of God. So Arthlene Legair Lawrence, the CEO of Legair brand luxury boutique, owner of Imagine Me magazine. She is an award-winning international celebrity fashion designer, winner of the 2022 Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award by President Joe Biden for her volunteer work in the nonprofit sector, fashion stylist, talk show host of Real Talk, Real Issues, Real Life TV talk show at Imagine Me TV. She's a certified life coach, business coach, and public speaker. She's a dynamite prayer warrior, worship leader, and spiritual coach. Proud mama of 3, grandma, and dedicated wife to her husband, Dr. Hadley Lawrence, ND. Her Legair brand fashion has appeared on Bravo Television's Married to Medicine and many other national television and magazines. Her designs have graced the runways in Paris, England, Hollywood, New York, and other international markets. Founder and CEO of Restore to Empower Inc., and NGO focusing on underprivileged, at-risk youth and abused women. She started her organisation in 2015, serving her local community and then branching out into the island of Dominica. She is a strong voice for the disadvantaged and low self-esteem as she strives through her different mediums to inspire others to become the best version of themselves. She is a court-appointed advocate for children. Who would not want you on their side? She is founder of Imagine Me TV network, through which she highlights persons from around the world who are seeking to empower the community at large, spreading positive and uplifting insights through their uniquely amazing stories of struggle and overcoming adversaries and lack. Mrs. Lawrence has received many recognition and awards for her work, both as a humanitarian and business owner. A 6 times published author, recipient of the Humanitarian of the Year Award, Excellence in Fashion Innovation Award, Writer of the Year, Inspirational Writing Award, Youth Empowerment Awards. My goodness, I'm almost done. Woman-owned small business certification, Fayette Chamber of Commerce, Who's Who in Black Atlanta. Mrs. Lawrence is dedicated to bringing change to the communities she serves and is open to new ideas that will benefit said communities. Oh my gosh. Who, as I said, who would not want you on their side? I am now speechless because I'm just, you are so appointed by God. My heart went out to the youth and the children and the abused women that have you in their courts. What an honor to have you on my show. I'm so sensitive and emotional today. The spirit is moving in this space and I am trying to hold back. So I'm just going to pass over to you and let you have the stand for a moment while I just compose myself and just share with us whatever is on your heart, because we've already started to have an incredible conversation before we started recording.
Yes,
What's in your heart?
just allow the Holy Spirit to move because, that's what He wants. He wants us to just be available, that it's nothing, it doesn't have to be planned. It's just like, when He shows up, say, you know what, have your way. Because we never know who's going to be listening or watching that needs what the Holy Spirit is bringing. So it's an honor to be on here. I am so thankful. I looked forward to that day, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna be interviewed from Australia, which The next one is going to be in person, okay?
Okay, I'm holding you to that.
I declare that it's gonna be in person.
Oh,
But I am truly just honored to be here and honored to be able to share my story. I would tell everybody that the things that I've been through, I know it wasn't to hurt me, it wasn't to slow me down, it wasn't to stop me. But God, who is my creator, He knew, and we said it before, He knew what I can bear. He knew that I was not going to run away and I was not going to quit because He's my creator. And He created us and He knows each one of us. Before He formed us, He knew us. So who am I to say, I'm going to give up, I'm going to run away from what God is, from what I'm going through? It doesn't mean that I wasn't tempted. I was tempted many times. I tried many times. It's like, you know what, God, give this to somebody else. So, God, I just want to get out of this world. But I know God had a greater and a bigger plan for me. And I'm so thankful when I look back at some of the things that I've been through and I made it. I was like, wow, I know that only God can get the praise. And even as I give Him the praise, then He brings so many people in my life that I can minister to. And if it had to take some of the things that I went through to be able to help a young girl that's been abused or a woman that's been abused, it is worth it. It is worth it.
I hear you in what you're saying. There are so many moments. Well, I tried to take myself out when you talk about running away. I tried to end
Yes.
my life. But when you talk about, and I thank God for the breath in my lungs that He's graced me with today. But when you talk about having been through what you've been through to help other people, to help other young women and adult women, I'm the same as you. I would not change a thing in my past if it means that I get to help just one woman.
Yep.
Because the things that you've been through, which I'll get you to shed some light on in a sec, the things that you've been through allows you to reach those people because they can't turn around to you and say, well, you don't know what it's like, because you do know what it's like to be there.
Yes.
And and so for me, I can reach women in the sex industry because I've been there. For you, by the sounds of things, well, you can tell us what you've been through and who you get to reach, because it really is, I feel like it is such an honor that's placed and given to us, that we get to survive these things and we grow this strength and develop this character and resilience and a passion and compassion for people who find themselves in the same place. So why don't you share a little bit about what you've come through, what brought you to this place of reaching these women?
What brought me to this place is I think being married. I got married, and there's other parts that happened before I got married, but I got married at the age of 22. And I think that was way too young to be married. Plus, I came from a Christian home that was so strict that I was getting married not knowing what I honestly did not know what I was doing. But because of some of the things that happened to me and because of religious beliefs, I felt like that was the only choice that I had. And I made that choice, even if somewhere in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what, I'm not sure this is right. But, I did not want to be cast out. I did not want to be looked down upon. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to get married. And that's what I did. I honestly did not seek God's face like I did this time that I'm remarried. I really prayed and fasted about this one, but I did not see God's face. I just went into it, and it's like almost 3 weeks after I got married, the struggle started, and what I went through in my marriage was more of a verbal abuse, verbal emotional abuse. And I tell people all the time, people think that if you don't get caught or hit or bruised, it's not it's not bad. But to me, it's about the same because I feel that the verbal abuse It's something that you can't see, but it's something that's in your mind. And you
Mm.
go to sleep, it's on your mind, you get up. Just you look at me, and my ex-husband would tell me that I was very fat, and I have not been bigger than I was smaller than this. Um, it would tell me that I was so ugly, and it wasn't just one time. And I've forgiven him, and I would talk about it. It doesn't hurt like I used to before. It used to hurt, but then I realized, this was a spirit that, whatever it was in him that caused him to say this thing to me, and it caused me to not have. I had low self-esteem,
Mm.
and but I knew how to hide it really well. I would lead worship. I would sing. Even when I became a fashion designer, I would get on the stage and I would receive my awards and stuff. And inside, I was hurting. I remember when I lived in Miami and I was a worship leader. Sometimes we would drive up to the door of the church, and I would have tears running down my face from the words that was spoken to me, from the time we left home until we get to the church. I mean, just really nasty words, and I'm crying. And as soon as I get to the church door, I dry my tears, I wipe it up, and I go on the pulpit and I lead worship, I minister, and nobody knew. I get back in the car, and it was just a cycle that just continued and continued. And that went on for so many years. But because, again, my family was religious, we did not believe in divorce. I felt like, if I had to try to get away or anything, that, I would be a castaway. So I just stayed, and I stayed under the abuse over and over and over again. I cried so many nights. I cried so many days. I mean, it was miserable. It's someone that have been through it can understand, and that's why I understand when women, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, I can support them, I can help them because I know what it took. It was not easy.
Mm.
I worked hard because I figured if I just stayed, I prayed and I fasted and I did everything I could, that God's gonna work it out. And but God, I know that He does not force Himself on anybody. If my ex-husband wasn't willing to fear God and serve God, that there's nothing I could do. And God was not gonna force it. And I would get the threat of divorce all the time. And because He knew that my family did not believe in divorce, He would
Yeah.
threaten me. And then once He threatened me with the divorce, then I would calm down and do whatever He wants me to do and things like that, and just stay. But I remember praying this prayer one day. I said, God, and we went on vacation, and He said it to me, and something went in me. I said, God, if this man ever asks me for divorce again, I'm done. I'm like, and it's like we got home like 2 days after, and again, something did not go right like he expected. And it's like, what? I can't wait to divorce you, and I'm gonna. I said, you know what, dude, go ahead, divorce me. And from the time I said that, it was like the door was shut. I mean, there was literally no turning back. You know, and I was like, okay, I will get all the paperwork. It was so funny. I got the paperwork together. It's like I was on a mission. I'm getting divorced, and people did not even know. We got divorced. Let me see. It was like, I think, August, and in about 2 months, by October the 4th, we were divorced. In the church, everybody was really shocked because they didn't even really know, and you know. And but after the divorce, it just, oh my goodness, I would not wish that on anybody, because going through a divorce
Mm.
was I felt like I was gonna die. There were times that I wanted to die. I had a nervous breakdown. It was terrible for months and months. I ended up 2 years after I got the fibroids. I had fibroids, that the stress and everything, it got so bad that I had to have emergency surgery. And
Wow.
it was just, oh my God, it was something else. And but even in it, it was I prayed to God, and that's how I came up with the first prayer book. Because when I would go through all of this, the one thing I would go to God, because I love God and I serve God. I'm like, God, why is this happening to me? And I
Mm.
would write a prayer. My prayer did not. It didn't start like a prayer. It was really mad and angry, and I'll be cussing God out. To be truthful, I'll be like, I don't understand you. I'm serving you. I'm leading worship. I'm doing all this, and why are you allowing this to me? You don't love me, and I'll be mad and angry. But in the end of it, by the time I finish, spit out everything I had, then I would have like a really prayer way would I'll pray, say, you know what, God, I just praise you and I thank you, and I'd write a prayer. And little did I know that years later, that prayer, that my angry words to God with this little prayer became a prayer book. And that was
Wow.
the first book that I write. And that was what really helped me was praying and worship. And it was a devastating time in my life. Only God.
Only God. And what's the name of that book? Do you have that one there with you?
One, no, I don't have that one because I,
Okay.
but I will. Let me see.
That's okay. That's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I don't have. I have the other one because I actually have like six of them, and that was the first one. Oh, I forget the name of it. I'm so sorry. I can't remember. I
But
forget
no,
the name.
that's okay. That's all right. So even though you had left that relationship that was emotionally abusive, verbally and emotionally abusive, and you know, and I please hear my heart when I say this, because physical abuse is not okay. There's not one part of it that is okay.
Yeah.
Um, broken bones heal in what, 6, 8 weeks, whatever it takes. And I once again, it is not okay ever to lay your hand on anyone else, irrespective of what sex they are. Just don't.
Don't.
There's
Yeah.
no there's no excuse for it. But verbal and emotional, those words cut so deep, and and the physical does as well, but the verbal and emotional, it's like you can't even pinpoint where it started because it happens so gradually, and one thing will be said and you'll just kind of question yourself. You end up questioning yourself.
And it lasted years.
Yeah, and then it goes on, and you're so chipped away at, and this is in physical as well, you're so chipped away at and felt so powerless, left feeling so powerless and so hopeless in the end. It is so important to know that we have the right and the deserving to be treated respectfully, to not be hit upon, to not be cheated on, to not be spoken to and abused verbally, to protect ourselves and to stand up for ourselves. We're not, I don't know
Yes.
about you, but growing up in the church, I wasn't told to, not even growing up in the church, but just in general as a woman, maybe I wasn't told to stand up for myself.
Exactly.
So saying no, no, I'm not okay with that was not taught to me. And so
Yeah.
I, like you, I didn't have great self-esteem and confidence, and people treated me how they wanted to treat me, which is in actual fact me teaching them how to treat me,
Hmm.
because I'm not standing up for myself. I'm not putting boundaries up. So know that if you are in that space, you are not alone. There are so many men included and women who are going through abuse, and all you need to do is reach out to someone. I mean, you've got two women right here, right now, who have experienced domestic violence
Yes.
on different levels, and you are not alone. But you have to make that first. You have to
Yes.
take that first action step, and there is never any judgment. There's never any judgment, because we
Yeah.
love you and care about you wherever you're at, for however long you've been in it. Doesn't matter, but there are people who will help. But it's interesting that even though you left that relationship, that constant attack and annihilation still continued to happen. That battle still continued to happen for a couple of years. That must have, no wonder you ended up exhausted and in surgery, and it takes a toll.
Yes. It because especially when you know it's almost like you give your life to that person, and then like for me, I know my heart was in the right place, and even as a wife and a mother, I looked at my life. Okay, this is, we always think that we're going to have the perfect life and stuff, but I know in my mind I did everything that I could to make it right. So I always, because of the verbal abuse, I always felt like everything was my fault. So I would try to fix things. I would try to, stay in it. And even sometimes those words were spoken over me. And I would try to say, well, I know it's not true. And even after I was out of it, it took years. I remember years after I was divorced, maybe it was about like 3 or 4 years, that I was looking at a picture, and it was my sisters and I. And I looked at it and I had tears in my eyes because I was like, oh, wow, I'm really pretty. And I said that to myself and I began crying because all these years that my ex-husband told me that I was ugly. And even when getting the divorce, one of the things he would say to me is like, oh, you got 3 children, nobody's gonna want you, and you're never gonna make it. And it was terrible, you know. And even after the divorce and walking through it, the abuse did not even stop. I literally one day I said, you know what, I gotta get out of the city where I was. I did not have a job. I did not have a job offer, nothing. We fit everything in a truck and we drove like how many, 4 or 5 states over, and I just moved to Atlanta. We stayed in an extended stay for I think maybe a couple months and stuff like that. Just a one room, 1 bedroom hotel room, and we stayed there. Whatever little money I had, I was running out of money. And you know what? God is so good, and I had such faith in God that even if I didn't have a job, I went and applied for an apartment, and I had a part-time job that I was doing, and it was only by God's grace we were able to get an apartment. And I thank God for my youngest daughter. At that time, I think she was about 18, but she would work part-time, whatever little job I did, and we survived. But there came a time, and this is all coming through the divorce, and that's the other thing. Women, we have to learn to plan, because I didn't plan because I thought I was married and everything we did together. So I just figure I was going to be okay. We ended up homeless because we stayed in an apartment for a year. And there came a time that, and I had a little boutique that it was okay. I either give up the apartment or give up the boutique. And then with the apartment, I couldn't even renew the lease because now I didn't have a job to say anything to renew it. So I couldn't renew it. So I had to get most of the stuff, try to put it in the little boutique that we have, put some stuff in storage. And for 7 months, my 2 children and I stayed in that boutique. We did not have a bedroom.
Yeah.
One of the rooms that had a bunch of clothes in it, we literally lay on the concrete, on the bare floor with blankets and stuff. And it was hard because the air mattress that we had, we would start off in the night with it blown out. By the time we were like 5 hours, it was flat on the ground. And I had my daughter, maybe she was about 19 then, and then my son, which was 12 or somewhere around there. And they were very strong. They did not complain. You would think they were in a hotel, but just because we were together. In
Mm.
that small space, we had just a really small bathroom. It had the sink was about the size of a bowl where it's just to wash your face, and a toilet. There was no shower. I
Wow.
went to there was no shower. I did not have a shower for 21 days.
Wow.
Sponge bath, but my kids, I got a $10 at the gym. I paid $10, but only 2 people could go. So they would go there and pretend like they were going to exercise, but they
Yeah.
really were going to take a shower. So they would exercise a little, then go in the shower, and I would come and I would pick them up. And what I would have to do, I would have to wait very late in the night. And this is happening in the US. Very late in the night, I would go outside my store when I know that everybody in the area is gone, and I would take a tub of water and then like throw it on myself in the darkness. And we stayed in that apartment in November, December, January. We had no heat. There was no heat. So, and it's just we just continued just trusting God, and I just never gave up. I just kept trusting God because I know no matter what, that God was going to make a way, and He did make a way. I continue having faith in God that even we with that one day, again, still not even having a job. When that throughout the end, I'm like, you know what, we're gonna get a place. We don't have to stay in this place for 7 months. God opened the way where we could get we got a house to rent. It was 3,000 square feet with like, let me see, one, two, three, four, three full bathrooms, about 4 or 5 bedrooms, full basement. What I did, I had a truck, so I took a loan against the truck that gave me the down payment to put on the house. And I just said, you know what, I'm gonna trust and believe God. I know God is gonna make a way. But we came from being homeless and living in a store, um, to a 3,000 square feet house. And God, after that, I got a job. My daughter was working, and it was just all just trusting God. It was all through trusting God and believing God's word and staying faithful to God no matter what. And it wasn't easy. I cried a lot. There was a lot of tears. But even after the tears, I'm like, God, I know you're not gonna leave me. I know all the stuff that I've been through, and maybe another time I'll share about it. I went through molestation. I went through, and that's something that stayed with me for so many years. And it does not affect me now, but sometimes when you remember these things, they don't leave you. But
Mm.
it's just for the grace of God. It's because of God. And then that's why I know the pain, and I know how I wanted to give up, how I wanted to commit suicide. I wanted to die. But God. And today I can encourage another woman or another young girl, to speak up, and to trust God and to say about the things that are happening. Know that it may not be easy, and everybody, your path may not be like mine, but if you hang in there, if you trust God, if you continue to serve God, He does not go back on His word. With all the crazy things I've been through, but the places I've been, I mean, who goes to Paris as a designer? I had no training. I was invited to a show in New York, which that show was like about $33,000. And God opened the door where they allowed me to come in. I didn't have to pay anything.
Oh
You
my
know,
God.
my stuff on national television, awards and all, with no training, and
Um,
going through all this craziness, homeless, divorced, single mom. I'm telling you, God, our God is amazing. God, He's amazing. But we have to trust Him, and regardless of what we go through, it's not easy. But the song we sang that song today, I've learned to depend on God. I've learned to trust in His word.
wow. I just, um, thank you for sharing all of that. Someone today mentioned Psalm 46:5, and it just popped into my head again. God is in the midst of her. She
That's
shall not be moved.
that's
God shall help her. She will not fall. Um,
that's
I'm
my
just
favorite.
like, that's your favorite?
Love Psalms 46. That was one of the things that I learned. Yes, yes.
Oh my gosh.
God
And
is our refuge and strength, a present help in the time of trouble. Therefore, will not we fear, though the earth be removed and be carried out into the midst of the sea. I love that Psalms. That, and Psalms 91, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. Woo! Yes, these are the scriptures that just kept me going. And when I encourage people, that's why I encourage people to write, because that's how I used to get my release. I would write, and I would be writing, and I'm in tears falling on the papers. I'd have to change the page, and now we have computers, or we can speak the words, which is even better. But I'll be writing and just write it and write, and then I would get a relief as I finish writing, and then I'll get a little release, and you know, so it's good to write as well.
it's so good to write. There's something powerful about pen and paper, pencil and paper.
Yes,
There was something very powerful. Just all I could hear was the word warrior, faithful and humble when it came to you. And I love, like, he will never leave us or forsake us. And you were so faithful in those times when you had nothing. Thank God you had that boutique. Thank God you had the option to go and be together with your children in that safe space,
yeah,
because it's really, particularly when you have dependents, it's such a huge decision to leave the security of a family home, even when you're being abused. It's such a huge responsibility for you to be able to go out with your independence and provide for them and put a roof over your head. So,
yes.
warrior woman. And What's your What's your latest book called?
Ooh, the latest book. It's called The Prayer Warrior's
Oh,
Weapon.
right. There you go. And there's the word warrior again, right? I want that book. I've already put my name
Yes,
down. I'm waiting at eagerly anticipating that book.
yes, yes. It's
Oh,
really some powerful praise in there.
yeah, I'm super excited to read that. And anyone who wants that book, we will let you know how to get in touch with Arthlene in just a moment once we finish wrapping up. So you've been through homelessness, you've been through abuse, you've been to Paris with this incredible opportunity that didn't cost you a cent to present your fashion line. Um, there's a couple of questions I have. So oh, um, what do you think defines your breaking moment when you built up the courage to say, next time he says, I want a divorce, I'm going to say, let's do it. What was
Because
that?
like sometimes when there comes a time when you're just really sick and tired, and you, for me, I was like, and if it wasn't a strong urge, the pain that I would feel each time you did that or say that, I was like, I can't be going through this all the time. There has got to be, there's got to be something else. There's got to be, because in my head, I'm like, it's almost like, as Queen Esther say, if I perish, I perish, but I'm going to see the King. And I told myself, you know what? I'm done. You just get to the point. The thing is that when you say you're done, because there are many times I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm not serious. But you have to get to a point where you say, like, I'm done, to just say, you know what? That's it. I'm done. And just have that desire to know. And even if you're not sure that you're going to be okay, but I was like, you know what, God, what else? Because I've tried everything. I've tried everything. And I am just so sick and tired of this man thinking that I can, like, he's my creator. And then I can't do without him and all of these different things. I'm like, you know what? The next time he said that to me, God, I'm done. I'm done. And we have to get to that point where, because we know that God who promised us is faithful. And when we speak the words, he hears. And when you speak it from your heart, God, he will help you. He will help, because he knows that, I did everything that I could do. And I'm not saying that I was a perfect wife. I'm not saying that everything, stop this, sorry. I'm not saying that, I had um no blame, because, I mean, sometimes they say it takes two to quarrel and stuff like that, but there's absolutely no reason or no right for someone to treat someone the way that I was treated. And
Yeah.
if I had decided, you know what, I'm gonna just stay there and just walk through this, and because my family didn't believe in, I didn't believe in divorce. I had to love, mustard seed faith. I had to love just a little bit of myself enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna just hold on to that little bit. You can have all the rest, but that little bit, I'm done with this, and I'm just holding on to that little bit. And I thank God for just that little bit that kept me in God.
Amen. Amen. Oh, thank you for sharing that. So you have quite a few books here. You're a 6 times author. Could you just share your books with us? And also, once you've done that, maybe what would you leave our listeners with?
Okay.
And then we can talk about how they can contact you afterwards.
Yeah. So the first book, which I talk about, the prayer book, and for some reason it left my mind. But then I had the second book, which is Journey to Wholeness and Purpose, which so many people, sometimes they go through life and they just feel like, what, I'm just walking through life. But I truly believe that God created each and every one of us for a purpose. And that this is what this book talks about, the journey through wholeness and purpose. And even as you walk through your purpose, you don't want to wait when you get whole to walk into your purpose. It's a journey, it's a process. So this is what this book is about. um this was the second one I wrote, and I had to pull it back out. Thankfully it wasn't out there yet, because I would encourage anybody, when you just get through a divorce, when you write, take a break because
Yeah.
I had written so many stuff in there. I was like, "Ooh," I had to cut back, and then I had to learn forgiveness, and then I brought it back. But it says, rising through life, challenges, and struggles. And if you would ask me about my quote, this is it: I am qualified and approved by God. Because coming on there, it have words: abuse, loss, image, fear, hurt, failure, all the things that I experience. But even through that, you see me rising. I rise through life's challenges and struggles only because I am qualified and approved by God. Without that, we get nowhere. This other one, my self-love journal, is like a little journal, but I like to have I like beautiful things. So it's this is like just a lot of empowerment in there. And like this one say, I am strong, I am invincible, I am a woman. It's just different quotes and self-affirmation. But in there, there's a page that you can write like your daily gratitude and different things like that. This one is really dear to my heart, and even in the price of this one, it's 2187, which is 21 was the year my dad died, and my mom was 87 when he died, and it's called Quarantine with God. And I was in quarantine because I had both my husband and I had COVID, and while we were in quarantine, my father died, and
Wow.
that was I was like, God, really? So I couldn't even go and visit my mom because I had COVID, and
Oh,
my dad passed. But I thank God because when I felt a little, I didn't feel really well. And I remember telling my husband I wanted to go visit my mom and dad. And for some reason we were going, then something happened and we didn't go. And a couple of days later, my dad died. And I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't go, because now I would have think that I gave him COVID and he died because of me. But
yeah.
even just being ill in bed, sick, and you getting a call that your father died. I mean, he was 91 years old, but we still didn't expect him to die.
Mm.
My dad was really strong, and then I was like, God, really? And then so this one is dedicated to my dad, and it's Quarantine with God, because we had nowhere to go. And so it says that Quarantine with God is a written guide to help you into the refreshing presence of God in the season of isolation. And you talk about a lot that's happened in the previous years, and we talk about COVID and everything like that. But this was, and this one, which is the prayer warrior's weapon, it says activating the power of prayer for your spiritual, physical, and emotional victory. This I actually studied another book which is coming out, is Speak Up Girl, and
Oh,
that's another story. But when I cannot speak, I write. So something else happened to me, and I will tell it to you maybe at another time. And I could not speak up about it, and I was so mad and so angry. And I'm like, God, why? This, because you think that when you've been through certain things and you get over it, you okay. Like we said earlier on, the Bible said that in this world you will have trouble. So no matter where we are, the trouble will come. But do not worry. We have overcome. And I started writing the press because I got mad at the enemy. I'm so sick and tired of the enemy, messing it for our children and messing it for our lives. And God just gave me this powerful download. So this is what inspired this book, Speak Up Girl. And because of another attack, I was abused again. Someone grabbed me and threw me on the floor. And I wasn't even allowed to talk about it. I was called a liar. But thank God for His grace. I had to learn to forgive as well. So this is what this book is, and this is very dear to my heart. Imagine me, God gave me that word since 2008, and I want to encourage someone on there. Though the vision tarry, wait for it. God may have given you a word and tell you that He's going to do something for you, and you figure, okay, it's 2 years, it's 6 months, it's 10 years, and it's not happening. Don't rush the process. Wait on God. everything that you're going through is a process of where he's going to take you. Because I tried everything with those two words, imagine me. My logo, I did all kind of stuff, and then I realized it was a magazine. And the first one that we came up with, we were able to feature. March was Women History Month, and God allowed me to just feature women in there, and they share their bio, they share their story, because that's what we're supposed to do. The Word of God says, "Iron sharpens iron," and this is what the magazine is about. And the next one will be released in June. In the Caribbean islands in Barbados. So I am really, this is my baby, and I'm really passionate about this because I get to share. We have the secular magazine and all of this, but now we get, this is empowering women, telling our stories, sharing their businesses, getting dressed up, makeup tips, lifestyle tips, just spiritual tips, and everything. So I'm excited about this.
I love that. I actually love the size of that too.
Yes, that's the word. Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, I like that size. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
thank you. Yes, thank you.
Oh, Arthlene, thank you so much for your time. Will you please let our listeners know how to contact you?
Well, the way they contact me is my name, like there's Arthlene, Arthlene, and Legair, Legair, and Lawrence, Lawrence. All you have to do is put that in Google, and you will get my website. You will get everything on me. Just once they have my name, Arthlene Legair Lawrence, they will find everything. My LinkedIn, my website, let's see, even my books. When you put my name, it will take you to, if you put Arthlene Legair Lawrence books, it will take you to Amazon. You'll find all these books on there. My Instagram, my Facebook page, all of that is under my name.
Amazing. And when is your Prayer Warrior book released?
Hopefully in the next few weeks. So it should have been out, but then you see this color it came out really is not the color I wanted, because it was more of a bright pink, because I felt like this color had some power in it. So this printer didn't get it right, so I'm getting another printer. So it should be out in the next maybe 3 weeks or so.
Okay, awesome. Well, we look forward to that. I look forward to
Yeah.
my copy. It's been such an honor to have you on my show. I cannot wait until this airs. Once it's ready to go, I'll let you know and we can promote it, because this is really important. Thank you to all of my listeners today. And if you know anyone who is experiencing any violence or suicidal tendency, suicidal thoughts, or anything where they just need help, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Share this with them, but also reach out to someone who can help. Thank you once again. Thank you for joining us on Powerless to Powerful. This is the whole point of this podcast, is to show people that those who have been in places of powerlessness can move through to a life of power, and then giving back to the world and bringing all of our learnings and our teachings and our blessings to the lives of others that get to hear our stories. So thank you for listening with us today. God bless you, and we'll see you in the next show. Follow Angela on Facebook and LinkedIn at Angela Bennett, on Instagram at AngieB_transformations, or visit angieb.com.au. And remember, your past does not define you, it refines you.